Welcome to the Bite Size Fitness Podcast with your hosts Sam Owen and James McCarthy. Right, let's talk about it. You get annoyed by diets that get sold, don't you? Fucking
Is
hell.
that good?
James, you could literally be what did I say the other day? I could be in a Disney film.
Why? Who you can?
Yeah, with
Oh,
the
with the
AI automation.
it was actually my sister who sent me that. She was here the other night and she was like, "What are you laughing at?" I was like, "Oh, I keep sending Sam these reels of like bro flows," and I was like, "It's driving him nuts." She was like, "Oh, why didn't you go on? Why didn't you ask ChatGPT to make you a picture of him?" That's a fucking belting idea.
You know what? I am surprised after everything I have sent to you over the
Yeah,
past few weeks
but I
that
haven't
I
hammered
have.
one.
Yeah, I don't know if you're playing mind games with me at this point. I don't know if you've got one locked and loaded. Like, because I am sending you through this one image, which, to be honest, I don't even want to describe.
Most
You
days
know,
I get that image comes
you
through.
you do, and it is. I don't know. It is like nearly a screensaver on my iPhone. It is nearly there, you know? And I didn't even send this image to you. I bombard you with this image every few days. And for you not to retaliate and go quiet makes me feel very uneasy, sir.
Why? You think there's something bad coming to you?
I know there's probably something bad coming. So being really tame about the whole situation.
What do you mean really tame? In what way?
It's just, it's just there's nothing coming back my way, and
It's
that's
not
almost
violent, is it?
worse. Huh?
Yeah, there's no violence, is there? It's just
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah. So I didn't go at the end because again, that's putting me on edge. So
Your birthday soon as well. You know
uh,
what video's dropping on your birthday, don't you? I can't wait.
no, I don't know what's dropping on my
Oh,
birthday.
you know what video?
Oh yeah. Well, the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When you give me the heebie-jeebies out of nowhere, just like I go like this. How did I even contort myself into that like position? You know?
You were like,
No, I didn't make that noise.
you did. I
No,
was
I
just around
didn't.
the corner. I was around the corner like the man, and you were just like, you were there like the scared little boy.
Oh, was I?
It was cute. It was cute.
Ah, right. Okay.
I
Okay.
felt like I felt like I needed to put my arm around your shoulder and comfort you and tell you it was going to be okay.
Ah, right. I see. I
Yeah,
see. Well,
because Big Brother was here to save you.
I got some videos of you, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Of what?
Oh yeah. Well, you don't want to know, do you? You don't want to know. Do you remember the one I recorded of you when you were at the top of the villa going giving it this?
I knew.
I need to release them at some point. And then you
Right.
give it the back shots too.
Yeah, I was like, which one looks better? You were like, oh yeah, that one. And I was like, you're videoing, aren't you, you twat?
And the audacity to like the only way I can describe it is chow down on your watermelon and then create this like crater size hole in the middle of it with your slobber all up the sides and to go, do you
Would you like
want
some?
some? You
You're
know,
welcome to have some, I
you're
think I
welcome.
said.
Yeah, you're welcome to have some. And I went, well, no, James. That was a funny holiday. That
That
was
was.
really funny, wasn't it?
And then I
That'd be
think
hard to beat now. I feel like we set
the
the bar,
standard, yeah,
you
the
know?
level is high. Yeah. I mean, between that, the games of paddle, and then me ordering your food for you as well in the restaurant. I mean, it was
I
good.
feel like the next time we play paddle together, I really need to like get in the zone, you know?
Yeah, I
Because
haven't played paddle in ages, and I think the last time I played paddle was with you.
yeah,
Months.
I haven't played paddle in ages, but
Yeah.
that one-on-one, I mean, the one in Portugal.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that was that was intense, that one.
and the first game, I took, no, that was it. The first,
First set.
I took the first set off you, didn't I?
And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I feel like next time we play, I need to come in with Viking war music or some shit. Like I just need to, I really need to hype myself up, you know? Just really intense over paddle. you know? Anyway, what did we say we're going to talk about? So basically, um, we were chatting the other night, and you
Yeah.
said something along the lines you didn't like people that put their name on a diet. That
It's,
was
I mean,
right, wasn't it?
I'm not necessarily saying, I don't like people who do it. But it's yeah, the whole thing of, yeah, having a specific diet and naming it, you know,
Right.
a diet to me, whether you want to say nutrition or if we're talking a specific diet, be it associated with like fat loss. Someone's like, "Oh, I'm starting a diet," and it's like, "Oh, what diet are you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing low carb. I'm doing Atkins diet. I'm doing 16/8. I'm doing 5/2. I'm doing whatever the person's name is that diet." And it's just like, no, no. Any good diet is based off sound scientific principles,
Yeah,
not.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So that's just my real like bugbear with it.
So you're basically saying you don't like people that like market a diet essentially, like you just like the principles being pushed and
Yeah,
not someone to like invent like kind of like a new way of doing things. Oh,
correct. Yeah, it's just like, if you came out now and said, right, this is the uh, obviously you're not going to, but like if you decided all of a sudden you're going to offer fat loss coaching and you're like, this is the Welsh Strength Coach diet. The Welsh Strength Coach diet will get you shredded in 8 weeks, whatever it be, and then someone joins and they're following your diet method and they think it's your diet method that is getting the results. Whereas actually, if you educate the person you're working with, you're setting them up for after you stop coaching them so that long term they can maintain it. And if they need to into another diet, maybe like a year or 5 years later, they know how to do it as opposed to thinking, oh no, I need to follow Sam's specific diet that he gave me, because it's not
right.
the diet, it's the principles that are actually getting the results.
So what would you say some of those principles are then? What would you
Well, obviously, the first and foremost one, which I'm sure everyone has heard until they're blue in the face, is energy balance. Fundamentally getting that right will make life so much more easier when you understand that and have some awareness around that for everyone.
so what literally just calories in,
Just yeah,
calories.
just having some understanding of how many like calories you require in a day, roughly, and then how much you are consuming in a day, roughly. It
Like
doesn't need to be micromanaged. You don't need to be tracking, but you do need to be aware. You can't be what I call a freedom eater. A freedom eater is someone who they just wake up every day and breakfast is, well, what do I fancy? Do I fancy eating a bowl of cereal? Do I fancy having an omelette? Or do I fancy just going to Starbucks and smashing down a blueberry muffin and a big iced frappuccino? That like there's literally no method to the madness within nutrition. So I think, yeah, don't be a freedom eater, but just have some awareness around, all right, if I am going to go to Starbucks and treat myself today and have something a bit over the top, like a muffin and a big latte for breakfast, then be aware then that I'm probably using potentially like a third of my daily calories on that, if not more.
yeah, so you just think that people need kind of a little bit more structure and parameters around their day, basically. That's
Yeah,
what you're
pretty
right.
much. Yeah, and like I said, just having that awareness around it, and then you can then that having that awareness around your nutrition to know what you're doing just allows for so much flexibility. Like when
Yeah.
we went out the other night to eat, and I can't remember what you were ordering, but you said to us, "Oh, I've banked or saved some calories aside for this." Just
Mm, mm.
and I'm sure you didn't like micromanage everything across the day, like lunch, like, to every nth degree, like weighing everything out. Oh my God, you just pull back a little bit on something that is very easy to do, just to allow you some more calories later in the evening, while still staying within your energy requirements.
Because it is like if you're like me or you, and we've both got big appetites, like
Yeah,
you know, I've got a massive appetite, mate. You've got a big appetite.
Yeah.
It would be so easy for me to pile on the weight. I mean,
Oh,
so
same.
easy.
Yeah.
I mean, if I wanted to,
Mm.
I could easily get 120 kilos, easily body weight if I wanted to at 5'8".
Yeah.
Imagine that. I'd be a cannonball, mate. I'd be a bowling ball. You could literally like fire me like
You would-
across
Yeah.
like
Once you get going, it would be like, yeah, oof. And once you get going, you're not stopping here.
oh, I'd be a force of nature,
Your
mate.
weapon. Yeah.
I'd be a weapon at 120 kilos. Can you imagine? Just coming down your channel, me, 5'8", 120 kilos.
I wouldn't get to 120 kilos, but I could easily eat myself fat if I wanted to, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I think if you are someone like us who's got a big appetite
Yeah.
and you haven't got an education in, understanding portion sizes, right? Like I can look at a bowl of rice without measuring it out and know
Yeah.
roughly, raw weight, that's about 100 grams of,
Yeah.
and you haven't got to be obsessive over it, it's like you just said, you don't have to measure every single like gram that you're
Yeah.
like, but to have an education in like what's in what, I only see that as a positive, and it's not something that necessarily gets taught, so obviously that's a huge one, quantity sizes, right? Like that's going to determine how you look. What do you say the second principle is for people then, talking about this?
Understanding some level of macronutrients. So
Right.
just where your calories are coming from. That's one. So again, I don't track. I've honestly never tracked in my life. We've obviously discussed my past with nutrition before, but having an understanding of food, so like what you're consuming, like, if I put a meal in front of you now, whatever is on the plate, you would be able to tell me roughly, is that a more of a higher protein based meal, more of a carbohydrate based meal, or higher in fat.
Right.
You could tell me that without just roughly looking at it. So, but some people, I think we discussed this the other night, didn't we? Some people will look at seeds and nuts and think, oh well, yeah, I'm having a high protein meal here, or I'm having peanut butter on toast, and so that's my protein ticked off. And it's like, no, you that obviously creates a problem because in order to acquire enough protein to meet your needs from things like that, you're going to be just overshooting your calories so much. So I think, again, having awareness of just around roughly what foods are made up of is a big one. Uh,
I would put in there as well, like a nutritious diet, obviously, as well, isn't it? I think that could be like a principle. Like I always say, quantity determine how you look, and then quality determines how you feel,
yeah,
And
I think
so,
eating
like,
towards good health is a big one.
yeah, so whole foods, right? Mainly whole foods, 80% of the time, 20% of the time more nutrient sparse, or I say 80% of the time more nutrient dense sources of food, and then 20% of the time more nutrient sparse, and kind of roughly as a guideline following that, you can't really go too far wrong there, can you?
No,
In your
because when
diet.
when you tick the boxes for, you hit your energy requirements, you get enough, if you get enough fiber into your diet as well, that's a big one
Yeah.
because by having more of a fiber tiger, can't even
Fiber
say the word
tiger.
fiber, having a fiber target, you're going to, have to naturally eat some more nutrient dense food in order to acquire that. You can't just consume whey protein and then smash the rest of your calories from sweets.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah. I say the nutrient dense, and I just tell people mainly whole foods, try and
Yeah,
aim
it
for
is.
that,
Yeah.
because that is going to be your more nutrient dense
Yeah.
sources effectively, isn't it? The one I talk about a lot as well is looking at like a plate education, kind of what you touched on with the macronutrient
Mm.
stuff. That's kind of my principle three, because obviously I've got my I call it guerrilla diet
I know,
habit.
yeah, I know, and
But
I'm not shitting on you.
no, no.
It's like having your guerrilla diet principles or something, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Rather than marketing it as like
This is
the,
the diet.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and that's all there is, isn't it? It's principles. But yeah, the third one that I talk about is performance plates.
Yeah.
So that would be like that, what you're talking about there. What do you look at? It's something as simple as that, because when people look at a plate of food, I think sometimes they look at it differently to someone like us, Mike, maybe that does have an education in this. And now when I look at my food, I kind of look at it as the gold standard throughout the day. And I'm looking for a source of healthy fats on there. I'm looking at a source of carbohydrates and explaining to
Yeah.
people what that looks like. Um, Source of protein. And then usually I try and aim for two colors on there from like fruits or vegetables or wherever it might be. And for me, I try and aim for that to be the consistent theme throughout my day. And then dotting in snacks and stuff like that around that, for the most part. But I think a plate dedication is a big one for people because sometimes, like you said, with just like, people say, oh, I've hit my protein here and they're having like a bunch of nuts and seeds and there's nothing wrong with consuming nuts and seeds, but to rely on that as your protein source to kind of
Mm.
get your protein in versus the amount of calories that you're consuming is sort of relatively low option, isn't it?
Oh, God, yeah. Well, they're a
Um,
fat source. They're a source of fats and
yes, yeah, yeah.
micronutrients.
Right, right. So, that's a massive one. Do you include like because one of the principles for me is one of the ones later on that we talk about is nutrient timing, and we talked a little
Yeah.
bit about that a couple of weeks back. Do you look at that much at all, or not so much?
Yeah. So my views on nutrient timing. So if you've, again, it depends on who I'm working with. If we're talking from a nutrition standpoint now, and I've got a client who's their main focus is fat loss, that's their goal. Nutrient timing, I don't worry about
Yeah.
because it doesn't come into it. Like I keep the goal. So for me, fat loss should be something that has a starting point and an end point. It shouldn't just be open-ended. Oh, I'm going to try and lose fat this year because when people say, "Oh, I'm going to try and lose fat this year," like, well, where does that end? Like, what does that mean? So for me, a diet should be we're starting here, and the aim is to end it here, and we might put in like breaks in between as needed when you've got social events coming up, holidays, etc. And then in that time, your nutrition is dialed in all in on that. So get to that goal, and then move out of that. Learn to live at maintenance, where you can then really start on driving up your performance and enjoying your training more and getting more out of it. And that is where nutrient timing then comes into its own because it's far, far more important. Because as you know, if you fuel your sessions, you're going to get the most out of them.
Well, I think back to a session I had on Friday just gone,
Yeah,
and I don't know if I would be able to have done that workout if my nutrition wasn't on point. Honestly, it was like that session was a matter of percentages, with
yeah,
me making the last rep or not. Like, and it does. I say, stuff like that is the extra few percent, and when you are performing at a high level, a few percent can be the difference between success and failure. Um, and yeah, just looking at where you place your carbohydrates in the day. I had someone, I think we were talking about this, it was maybe a month back now, and like he trains athletes, and he was saying, I've had great success, like coaching people with their nutrition without carbohydrates
yeah,
effectively and just doing a high fat diet. And I'm like, one, that should not be a test,
mm,
right? Like, because you're taking someone's money and then you are testing out on them something that you don't know to be true.
yeah,
Um, Secondly, it's an objective truth at this point that carbohydrates are your body's main source of fuel,
mm,
effectively. And for an athlete, that is essential. That's for a lifter, is like a high performing lifter is essential. But for an athlete who's playing in a team sport or whatever it might be, I mean, that's like make or break.
yeah.
You need
Carbohydrates are
carbohydrates.
your high octane fuel. It's just like if you take two people and everything being equal, and the one is fueled that they've got full glycogen stores and fueled on more carbs versus the other one trying to be high fat, lower carb driven. And yes, you could say that they're metabolically adapted, so their body can run well on fat. They're going to get blown out of the water
Right.
because your body cannot break down fat quick enough to fuel your performance.
Right, right, yeah, absolutely. Any other principles there that you we haven't talked about that you check out?
Um, I
You can
mean,
think
no, I
of?
mean, like again, when I look at nutrition, so whether I'm working with someone who's more focused on their performance, so they're an athlete, or be it if I was working with you versus someone who is, um, their goal is fat loss, then I just look at it in three things, and the nutrition should cover three bases. So that should be performance, health, and lifestyle. And if
Mm.
your nutrition, you don't want to be all in on one bucket. It should cover all three. And if you do that, then you've probably got nutrition that's going to firstly work for you, help you achieve your goals, and also be sustainable.
Right, yeah, that makes sense, mate. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, any other stuff you want to cover on that one?
Not at
No?
all.
Okay. Well, we could talk about the other topic, or we could do some Q&A style questions. What would you prefer to finish her off?
You choose. I don't mind. If you
Oh,
want, yeah, do you want to, what?
go on,
Well, if you
mate.
want,
Go on. Tell me.
you could do,
Tell me, James.
if you want to do Q&A now and then save the other one for another
Yeah, let's do
podcast.
that. Let's do that.
Um,
Let's do that. I tell you what
all
I'll
right.
do. I'll finish this one now, and then I'll start a record on a new one.
All right.
The first one is anyway. Okay, so my buddy does sprinting and I do squats. He says lifting heavy will make me slower. Is that true, or is he just scared of barbells?
So his buddy sprints
Let
and he
me,
squats.
yeah, so my buddy does sprinting and I do squats. He says lifting heavy will make me slower. Is that true, or is he just scared of bars or barbells?
I would say he's potentially scared of barbells, but the caveat would be two things. Number one would be if his the amount of volume he's doing across the week is leaving him sore and negatively impacting his ability to sprint. And then the second would be if somehow um, it's impacting his mechanics, his sprint
Right,
mechanics. But
right,
you know,
yeah,
like yourself, if you're smart with your programming and you know what you're doing, then I think no,
yeah.
if anything, it can only benefit you.
Yeah, and that's just a skill acquisition thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know, you like we talked about this before in Portugal once before, and I told you like, you know, sprinting alone, it's like it's not it's a skill, isn't it?
Mm.
Sprinting. And um, you know, we both see it, as very important for people to do, particularly if you play a sport or something like that.
Yeah,
Um but it is nonetheless still a skill, and there's a skill component to barbell training as well, and if I just get someone under a squat and teach them proper technique, it's not uncommon for someone to add 30 kilos to their 1RM, in a workout if they're more of a novice to this.
yeah.
Not that I would get them doing a 1RM, but you kind of get the
I
point.
know what you mean. Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah,
and the same goes with sprinting. I think if you get the right guidance and, mechanics of sprinting down, it can absolutely like improve your speed. The
yeah,
problem is with sprints, as we talked about, is that there's not, it's very hard to incrementally progress them, over time. It's difficult, right? You sprint way more than I do. Like
mm.
trying to each week or each month beat your sprint time is like virtually impossible. It's
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
you're not going to do
You
it,
know, no, otherwise you're
you
going to be
know?
beating Bolt, aren't you?
Yeah,
It
so
doesn't
so
happen.
the only way really you can improve your sprint time is by marrying up strength training and sprint skill work,
Mm.
and having the right balance between the two, like you said, and not overcooking the barbell training and not overdoing the sprint work as well. That's another big one, I think,
Mm.
that because
Definitely.
it's still
Yeah.
fatiguing and increasing your force output,
Yeah.
and that's going to be your best shot at actually getting faster. Anything you'd add to that, or do you reckon?
No, I think that's spot on. I mean, it's like that you've got the two things, haven't you? Obviously, the skill side is the software, and then you've got
Yeah,
your body and how much, I know, output you can produce and your tolerance of your body to handle the forces, and that's the hardware. So,
right, absolutely. That's a good way of putting it, actually. Let's have a look. Question two. Um, uh, Okay, so is it true that I'll bulk up if I add weight to my lifts? I keep telling my friend that's nonsense, but is he right? Well, of course, because if you're getting stronger, you're getting bigger.
Yeah.
Like that's again, that's an objective truth. That it baffles my mind how this hasn't been figured out yet, by a lot
Mm.
of people. You see today, optimizing resistance profiles, on machines and,
You love that one, don't you?
all this stuff. Like, how do they do it? They like, they crunch over, don't they? That's the one, the row. Seen that one? They
What's
crunch
that?
over. They got their
Or the
hands, they
a
got their
dumbbell with a machine?
on the machine. So they got their hand on the pad there. They crunch
Yeah,
in and they're like this. Have you seen that one?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah. Can ask my new favorite, that is. You know? And they've completely missed the point of how a muscle grows. Like
yeah,
a muscle doesn't grow because you're optimizing the resistance profile. Like, I'm sorry, if the weight is still light, then nothing's gonna grow.
yeah,
Like you can optimize your angle all you want, but if you're not asking your muscles to increase their force output, they're not going to get bigger.
yeah.
It's as simple as that. Like I don't know how this is not more of a thing. You look at like the old school bodybuilders. I think they actually understood this.
Mm.
But these days in this new generation of lifting, I mean, like it's a shambles. Like people don't have forgotten that to get big, you have to get strong first. You
So
know?
do you think if you take um two people using the same load, one is like really dialing in on like getting the angles, optimal. Do you think the end result, if they're doing, the volume is the same, but the one is really hyper focused on the angles, do you think that that person will get any better results than the other one?
Well, for the same load.
Yeah,
No, I probably wouldn't. I
yeah.
wouldn't say they would because the load isn't increasing.
Right, I got you.
No,
Yeah,
no. Like if someone is lifting with good technique and the other
yeah,
person isn't, then yeah, that's gonna have an impact of some sort.
yeah.
But if someone's like optimizing their angles, because you can recruit as many motor units as you want, but if you're not exhausting those motor units, is useless.
Hmm.
So it's like there's a big difference between recruitment and exhausting fibers, and
Yeah.
so um
Well, like you said there with the sprinting, I mean, sprinting maximally recruits, but it's not the same as loading, is it? With, you're not going to get the same hypertrophy response from sprinting as you would
right,
from lifting,
right,
even though you're
absolutely.
recruiting.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's it. That's 100%. Yeah, it's hard, mate. Like the type of stress that you have to experience to make progress, I don't think people quite understand, especially at more of an advanced level. Not
Yeah, I've
necessarily
watched
when
you,
you,
in the gym. It's like
what's that?
I've watched you in the gym with your squats. It's intense.
Well, did you see last Friday, the Friday workout? Like
Yeah, the one you failed on, was it
the
or
one I
not?
failed, and then the
Yeah,
second set I hit afterwards.
yeah,
Did you see how like intense I was?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like I was so intense, mate. I had to get into that mind, like that headspace,
yeah,
because in order for me to make any type of progress where I'm currently at, I have to do something I've never done before. I have
hmm
to ask my body to produce a stress that is never produced
yeah.
before.
You've never handled. Yeah, you've never been exposed to
I've
it.
never
Yeah,
exposed to. And that type of stress is brutal at an
mm,
elite level of lifting. It's brutal. And you can
yeah,
see that in the video. That's the problem. You can't fake this. You
yeah,
can't fake it. Like you I'm sorry, you can fake effort in a machine. You can
mm,
make it look really, really difficult, but we all know that it's not. Like if I'm not switched on, I'm going to hurt myself, or
yeah.
I'm not going to make the rep, and I'm going to lower it to the safeties.
Well, yeah, your nervous system is like alarm bells are ringing, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, and like I got to get out of there. Like the belt went flying, the wrist wraps went flying afterwards. I was like, for 5 minutes, I was like shaking. I was like really pumped
Yeah.
up. And I did my chin-ups and I got out of there and I was like cooked, mate. Like I was cooked. Like that was a max. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
that's where you have to go. But the problem is, again, it's no shade, but that a lot of people don't want to go to that point.
Mm.
Especially this is the thing that gets forgotten today. To get strong
Yeah.
requires really, really hard
Hard.
work.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, mobility drills, are they essential? I just squat. Are all those fancy warm-ups really necessary, or is it just overcomplicating things? Do you want to take that one? Because you're the mobility
Yeah, I don't think
mobility.
you like first of all, with a warm up, I don't think you need any fancy warm up. I think a
Yeah.
warm up should get blood flow into the working tissue, increase your core body temperature, and just get you prepared to move. That's it, and there are a multitude of ways to do that. I think if you're sprinting, I think you should definitely take a longer, more thorough warm up. Because of what you're doing, and you want to open up tissue and stuff like that and joints. But like for example, when I warmed up with you in the gym, obviously it's hilarious to watch because like you're warming up with like my max, and I'm panicking because you're like, yeah, we'll just start with like put these on, then put these on, and I'm like, oh well, shit. I was like, we're at my working max, yeah. But that's it, isn't it? You're just working through the range of motion that you're going to be doing when you're getting to your top set, and it's no different to, um, you know, gradually ramping up to speed in your sprints and whatever it be. So I don't think, if you're farting around for like half an hour, like before you actually get into the work, then yeah, you're probably messing about. But then from a
Oh yeah.
mobility point of view, I think if you're working through like a good range of motion on your exercises, then you can build strength through that range and build a decent amount of mobility. If you want to open up more, get access to more range of motion, then obviously you can do other things, can't you? Like things that I sometimes do, taking, working to longer lengths. But again, that's case dependent if someone wants that and if they need that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree wholeheartedly because, see me go into the gym, I take my first exercise for the day and I start light on that
Yeah,
exercise and then I gradually work up the weight and that's my warm up.
yeah,
Know, it's the same as you said with sprints. Like work out how far you're going to be sprinting that day, and you start with a lower intensity, and then you work up, and that's your warm up.
yeah,
Someone's got an injury that they're dealing with, or something like that. Maybe there's some
yeah.
time for what they call prehab, but I'm very conscious about how much energy I expend.
Mm.
Before going into the workout, like at the end of the day, you don't want to waste any valuable energy that you could put into that set,
Yeah.
So yeah,
Prime
definitely.
why people don't, shouldn't do cardio before their resistance training, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, well, we see that all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
It's like they're on the treadmill for 30 minutes, it's
Yeah,
just
no,
like
no,
what's
yeah,
going on, Yeah,
yeah,
no matter how you look at it, you are expending energy there that could be put into that top set,
yeah, of
So
course.
it's just basic physiology, isn't it? Um, okay, should we take one more?
Yeah, go on then.
Um, let's see. So another running one. I want to get faster. Do I need to do plyometrics? I think squats and deadlifts give me all the power I need. Who's actually correct? Go on, mate. What do you think?
I think players definitely have a place personally, for that. If you're not, especially if you're not, unless you're playing a ton of sport where you're getting exposed to that,
Right.
they just allow you then to kind of cross over the strength you're building in the gym into improved rate of force production, which is obviously going to benefit you when you come to sprinting.
Right. And so what would your kind of um so you say it transfers what you build in the gym, right?
Yeah,
Is
it
that
just
kind of
allows, like, I think of it almost like, I guess, like the skill side. So your ability to hit the ground with force quickly and get off the ground, because a plyometric has to have a takeoff and a landing. This is a massive thing where people make mistakes. I saw someone the other day doing broad jumps where they would do a broad jump and then walk back to start and do another broad jump, and they were calling them plyometrics. Like, no. It's not a plyometric
Right, right. So,
because
so for you, it's just a bridge between the training and the skill. Is that
yeah,
kind
it's
of
how someone interacts with the ground, their ability to interact with the ground. So if you like, again, if you've got someone who is super, super strong, but they don't have the ability to move well across the ground, then I think plyometrics are an absolute excellent tool. And I think, yeah, I maybe I'm a bit biased, but I do think they serve a purpose.
Yeah. Well, the my thoughts on it are that the primary thing that's going to make you stronger and more powerful is obviously getting stronger, I
Yeah,
think. And then maintaining your ability to express force comes from the skill. We talked
yeah,
about the Athlete Days podcast,
yeah,
conditioning yourself to that. Um, I can see how plyometrics. I'm not on board with this whole thing, as I argued with that guy online. What was his name? Jake Tura was his
oh
name.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The tendon
and
stuff was that?
the
Is that
tendon guy. Yeah, somehow there's some magical properties to plyometrics that make you. I've forgotten what he said. Is what did he say? Intra the intrafascicular matrix or something like that. He came at me with this massive
right?
term. I was like trying to like, and I, researched it and basically, it was all nonsense, from what I gathered.
Mm.
Um, I just don't buy into this idea that plyometrics are gonna have some magical kind of effect on your tendon health, and I just don't
For your
see
tendon
that.
health, though, you want to actually load heavy your muscles because then your muscles actually they pull and put the strain on the tendon. And
Absolutely,
from a
yeah.
health point of view, that like from a health point of view of your tendon, you need more of that, the slow, controlled, heavy stuff. Um, whereas plyos will obviously utilize the tendon, but they're not going to improve the health of your tendons.
No, no. So I that's kind of my style. Where I can see them be, and this is why I'm asking you about
Mm.
kind of how you think about them. I can see almost using them as a regression tool for something like a sprint could be useful. So for instance, if someone hasn't ran in, years, right,
Yeah.
and sprinting's too daunting to them, just even at a lower intensity, to just get used to using their feet and ankles again,
Yeah.
to feel that, and just hopping up and down is easier than asking someone to go for a run, right? Or to sprint. I can see the benefit then. I struggle to see the benefit if you're already sprinting.
Mm.
So if you're already doing the skill of sprints, I don't see how adding to that is going to give you any extra benefit, if that
Yeah.
makes sense,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, but I can see because I know obviously you do them, right? I see you doing them and you enjoy them as well,
I like
So
bounce and hops. Well, the thing with hops is you can't who I learned from Matt Watson, you can't hide from hopping. Like if you get someone moving forward, locomotive hopping, you've got to literally learn to quickly whip your leg down and interact with the ground and then get off the ground again. And like you can't,
is that same
there
as
is
sprints though?
it's different because sprinting is you're obviously going side to side.
Side to side, right? I
Yeah, whereas
see.
this
Yeah.
is obviously you're on your single leg and you've got to obviously get off the ground and then quickly whip your leg through again to be able to keep that going.
Right, right. And what would you say the benefit of that would be for someone who doesn't have to do that in their sport?
It's again, well, it just is if someone has got to be able to learn to be quick off the ground and produce that
Right,
force quickly, that's
right,
where I think it can be helpful
right, right.
from my understanding. Someone might correct me on that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm not entirely against them. But I would probably use them as a regression tool. I
Yeah,
would. But sleds I think are great too. You brought that
yeah,
up
that's
to
it.
me. You
Yeah,
said sled, and I thought, yeah, it's a really good idea for someone who is a bit unsure about how sprinting.
they can strain you.
Yeah, yeah. So you can literally just get on a sled.
Mm.
You've got that support out in front of you as well.
Yeah,
Not a lot of soreness,
no,
coming from something like a sled either. Um, but yeah, but I think that was a good one, mate. Do you want to end
yeah,
that one
definitely.
there
Yeah,
or
of course. Yeah,
yeah,
go
should
for
we
it.
do- Do you want to see us out, or
No,
is
you
there?
can do it. You can do it, sir. You're welcome to.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Guys, if you enjoyed that one, leave that rating and review, and we'll catch you in the next.